in years in the past, people would walk by and we'd get into a conversation. Now people walk by and they're plugged in.
They got their earbuds in.
Whatever it is, they don't want to talk. So, in some ways, our technology is further separating us. You know, and it's, I don't know, maybe it's inherent in the American culture to a degree. If you go to Europe, especially Germany or France, even England, and I would go into a restaurant, maybe I was on a business trip and I was eating alone, and I'd sit down at a table in the local guest house and have dinner. The natural thing for other people when they came in was to sit down at the same table and you get into a conversation.
Well, in America, you'd get dagger eyes if you sat down at somebody's
rape
table.
me or mug me or
Right,
what's going on here.
right.
So we tend to live in a more and more insular, isolated society, and people become further and further apart from one another. Maybe I'm being overly critical, but that's
I don't
the
know.
feeling
Is there a
I have.
remedy for it?
I think the ultimate remedy is one I really don't like, is when problems get bad enough, people will eventually get together. But I'd hate to,
You don't want to go there.
I don't want to go the catastrophe route. I'd much rather start doing things that would resolve some of the problems beforehand.
If you knew that you could not fail, if I were able to issue you an ironclad 100% guarantee of success for your next project, what would you attempt?
I'd fix the elementary school system in the city of Los Angeles. Well, obviously it needs more money. It needs
Lower student-to-teacher ratio.
lower student-to-teacher ratio. It needs, some of the facilities need to be improved. There's still, even after all these years, segregation between the rich and poor sections of the city. Schools in the poor end of the city don't get the same amount of resources. Even though the city says they do, they don't. So yes, I would increase teacher salaries, I would increase teacher training and qualifications. I'd get much tougher on getting rid of teachers who aren't competent,
Underperforming.
underperforming.
Would you statistically measure it in order to determine who it is?
Yeah, I would
And
use
then
statistics,
once
but
you-
I also would use visits to classes to see how effectively they're teaching.
And once you designated an underperforming teacher, would you attempt remediation before expulsion?
Yeah, I would offer them programs to improve their teaching capability.
And if they
And if they
if
weren't
didn't
prepared-
improve, then
Or if they didn't make a commitment to improve at that point. Said, yes, I'd be more than glad to go to the program and I'll work at it. I would have to fire it. Because you only get one shot at these kids.
right. The teacher might have a 35-year career, but the kid only has fourth grade one time.
One time. And if he fails fourth grade badly, the chances are
He's not going to graduate high school.
you've lost him. You've lost him or her. So I'd attack the number one project I'd go after, the elementary school system. And I'd get them to a point where parents would not want to send their children to private schools.
Let's pretend for a moment that all of humanity, all 7 billion of us are going to watch this video. What would you say to us?
That we are faced with crisis on the ability of the earth to sustain a growing population. The technology in itself, even though governments have told us it's the ultimate answer, is not. That we're going to have to make some major changes in our social outlook if the society is to sustain itself. That our resources are limited, that the carrying capacity of the earth is limited. The negative effects of human population ultimately will cause major catastrophes. And unless we react on national and international bases almost immediately, our future is bleak.
You think it's going to cause a lot of people to die? Needlessly.
It will cause people to die. It will cause major economic turmoil. It'll cause national governments to fail.
Mostly in the developing world.
No, my experience tells me that the veneer of civilization is very thin. When you have mass unemployment, let's say on the scale that Germany had in 1929, where 60% of the population was unemployed and where money was worthless, that this is the breeding ground for dictatorships, and that the United States is not immune to that issue. I think if you read history carefully, in 1932, if we'd had a strong fascist leader,
We would have been on the other side in the war.
it's quite possible. People do strange things and terrible things when their personal security is threatened and destroyed. Issue of global warming, natural resource depletion. See, most Americans don't know at this point that we've already passed peak oil. And it's not that we have half of the oil left, because the half that's left, a lot of it isn't recoverable. What is the station going to do if you're suddenly looking at $8 a gallon for gasoline? You know,
Walk.
what kind of social turmoil across society? And it won't make any difference whether you live in a gated community or not. So there has to be a worldwide understanding that issues don't stop at national boundaries. That the Western idea of superiority, technological and moral superiority, could quickly degenerate if the economic resource base of these nations are threatened and disappear. For the United States to still deny global warming, to me becomes the theater of the absurd. Most people will say, okay, I'm in my 40s, I'll probably be okay until I'm 80. It's going to happen.
Even 100.
Maybe 100. Maybe it's probably going to happen in, 2050 or 2075. I don't have to worry about it. I think it'll happen sooner than that.
But don't you have children? If I could give you any superpower, either one you've heard of or one that you make up on the spot, which would you request?
The ability to digest new information at the speed of a computer.
What's your favorite movie?
Paths of Glory.
Why?
Oh, for lots of reasons. One, I'm somewhat of a movie buff, about the script, the quality of the production, the acting, storyline, the message.
Who are your heroes?
Charles Darwin, because he forced us to look at the truth.
Instead of just our beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyone else?
Martin Luther King
Junior.
Jr. Because he understood the social dynamics of this country, not only racial dynamics, but the economic dynamics, and initiated programs that caused significant change.
For the better.
For the better. And not through passive resistance, by active engagement. Eleanor Roosevelt. Oh, because of her philosophies regarding women liberation, philosophies regarding social equality and integration.
Thank you so much for meeting with me.